So next up is Michelle Domey, who I consider a friend, a wonderful woman who is actually the mother of one of my patients. So she deals with taking care of a child who has some medical issues. She is a patient herself and happens to also be one of the most tech-savvy individuals slash patients slash parents I have ever interacted with. So it's an honor and a pleasure to have you, Michelle. We're looking forward to hearing your story.
He says I'm tech savvy, but now I have to figure out how to hook my computer up on my own. Well, he's doing that. Thank you guys so much for having me. It's an honor and privilege to be here with all of you guys. I met a lot of you last night, and I can't wait to see what you guys are going to do this weekend. Hacking Pediatrics 2.0 is incredible. I myself am a version 2.0, but first I'd like to share a little bit with you about the version 1.0 of me. Version 1.0 was in 2008. I was a successful business owner of a corporate travel agency called Corporate Travel Solutions, which I founded after the September 11th attacks when I found that I was unemployed. However, the travel industry was going nowhere, as well as the rest of the economy. And I found that I had something special to offer to clients. Everything was going online at that time. And I saw that what clients really needed was a one-on-one service that they could offer, 24/7 one-on-one service. I founded it in 2002, and I was able to work out of my home so it could keep overhead costs down. 2008, I was also proud stay-at-home mom of this 4-year-old named Carson. He was healthy, handsome, and smart. He can tell you he's 4. I also became very active in our community as president of the Webster Dudley Moms Club, where we provided social activities for kids and their moms who were stay at home. We did outings on bikes or, pumpkin painting. We provided community services, and we also offered activities at night like wine club. Scratch that, it's book club. For whoever's wives here say that they're going to book club, it's book club. Don't throw me under the bus. I'm also a member of the National Lancers. Many people may not know of the National Lancers. We're actually the mounted cavalry unit for the state of Massachusetts. We're a military division. We fall underneath the National Guard. We can get activated for state duty, but not federal duty. So fortunately, I'll never go to Iraq, but you may see me around the state. We do anything on horseback, ceremonial parades, funerals for dignitaries, fallen soldiers. We do the Paul Revere reenactment every year on Patriots Day from the North End to, I see Jen smiling, from the North End to Lexington. We have weekly drills. We have duty where we have to take care of 16 horses. It's a lot of work. When we're not wearing these funny looking outfits, we're able to take our horses out off property and ride them like the wind. So that was 2008. During one of my duty weekends, I took my horse out on a trail ride with a couple of the other troopers of the Lancers. And it was actually a beautiful fall day, just like today. We were going through a trail, and it opened up to a huge field. And if anyone's ever ridden a horse, when you see a huge field, the first thing you do is run. I was galloping my horse. I can remember feeling 1,800 pounds of muscle under you. I can remember feeling his hoofs hitting the ground rhythmically. I can remember hearing the sound that his nostrils make as he pushes the air, as he forces to go faster. And then it stopped. I didn't know what happened. Everything went blank. All I remember seeing then, not the top of his ears anymore, but I saw a blue sky, white puffy clouds, and that was it. I didn't know what had happened. Come to find out, a stirrup had broken on a brand new Western saddle that I had bought. We would later find out that that would be the cause of a traumatic brain injury I had. I was sent to the hospital, and I was quickly diagnosed with a traumatic brain injury. Welcome to Michelle 2.0. This is my brain now. The once organized life I had, the multitasking that I once did effortlessly, changed. This was my new brain. A lot of the issues I deal with today, and as I was overcoming these and dealing with it, I saw a lot of specialists. I realized that in the neuro field, you can pretty much put neuro in front of anything. Neuro-ophthalmologist, neuropsychologist, anything neuro, as well as therapists. You can see physical therapists, occupational therapists, speech therapists. I think I pretty much saw them all. Vestibular therapist, neuro-ophthalmologist, I mean, you name it, it was there. So I juggled a lot of that, trying to get a way to make my new brain function into my 1.0 world. Thankfully, I had an incredible primary care physician that knew I was operating at probably 110% before, and right now this wasn't working. I had a son to care for, who was my #1 priority. With memory issues and my son, that really wasn't working good. One of the biggest issues that I had was taking him to preschool. I wasn't supposed to be driving, and of course, I did. And I was afraid of forgetting him for 2.5 hours. So I sat in the parking lot. I dropped him off, I sat, I slept, and I set an alarm, and when he was out, I was there. So I knew that no matter what, I would be there for my son. One of the best stories is I had, through all this, I went into cognitive rehab for 8 months. I was a holdover. Cognitive rehab, they worked a lot on issues like executive functioning, multitasking in your everyday life. One of the things that they worked on was how to incorporate things in your everyday life. So they gave us an exercise in which they gave us a train map and money and how you get to here and there. Well, these were the biggest things that I had problems with, was figuring all these multi-pieces out and finding an answer to it. So I got frustrated and I didn't know how to do it, so I took out my smartphone and I Googled a couple of things. Now, you weren't supposed to do that. So I came up, I think it was my speech therapist came over after a little while. I was like, Michelle, how's it going? She's like, did you figure it out? And you're supposed to have detailed information. And I put Uber on it. I didn't know why you had to look at that map and figure everything out when you can just download an app and someone would come pick you up. So I don't think that was the right way, but they actually graduated me through cognitive rehab, which was a little bit disappointing on those book club nights that you couldn't use the excuse, oh, I got to get up early for rehab. That was a pretty cool sound. Oh, no, not the kid. So shortly after I just grasped learning how to deal with the new brain, Carson starts having medical issues. Funky things started happening in his mouth. The inside of his mouth would have sores, his lips would be swelling. One of those things that like only a mom sees at first, and then she brings him to doctors. They think she's a little bit crazy and off because they've never seen it, can't explain it. So we stumped a lot of the local doctors. We ended up at Children's Hospital. Some guy, and I don't know how we ended up with him, but it was an inflammation issue. And it's really weird. The mouth is this weird thing. Unlike the neuro field where you have like millions of people, the mouth is a funky thing. So a dentist doesn't do it, and oral surgeons are weird, ENTs. But we found this really great guy named Michael Doctor that knew exactly what this was. It was a rare form, a rare disease called orofacial granulomatosis, which is it's a oral form of Crohn's disease that starts in the mouth, which brought on a new chronic illness. So these were issues that we would be dealing with all the time and has a high likelihood of traveling to his intestines. So this brought on a whole new set of challenges. Now, with the brain injury, with everything else that I still deal with, it gave us a whole new set of challenges of how to deal with his care and how to manage that. We had a lot of different doctor's appointments, and they're listed in no order of favoritism. But to get all these doctors to come together in a timely fashion, to get all the information on a rare disease together was a challenge. And it was something that I saw every day and they see hardly ever. And I deal with on a daily basis. And then we go into an appointment. So I needed a way to figure out, when it comes to my son, everything else I can forget something else. And I've learned to just laugh it off. But when it comes to my son, there will be nothing that I let go. So I needed a way to figure this out. So actually, there was a Steve Jobs quote that really hit home. Again, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future. You have to trust in something, your gut, destiny, life, karma, whatever. This approach has never let me down and has made all the difference in my life. So I had to connect the dots from my past and use them to my future. So those were my strategies that I learned. My smartphone that helped me in rehab. I have a medical info app for. It contains all my son's, actually my whole family's, doctors' names, telephone numbers, family's conditions, medications, procedures. I can't remember any of that. Probably most people can't, but I particularly can't. I communicate a lot through email so that I have everything in documentation. I take pictures of everything when it comes to my son. I'm not going to bore you with any of those because those in the medical field won't want to see them. But things will happen. If I say, oh, my son's dealing with this thing on his face, on a Tuesday, they said, oh, we'll get you in on, the earliest we can get you in on Friday. Well, it's gone by then, or it looks different than by then. And I had no way of telling you or explaining that to you. So I started taking pictures and saving those pictures. I also realized that outsourcing is something that's big. I didn't have to know all the answers to everything. I just knew I have to know how to get them, how to find them. I also used different services. PillPack, which came out of a hacking medicine conference. I use PillPack, and it's made my life extremely easy with dispensing Carson's medication. I live on Google Calendar, Docs, Photos, and Drives. Everything I save, and I can easily then send out to any of his doctors. And we use Skype a lot. Carson missed his school. He goes to a private school. It's enabled us to set up Skype in school so that when he's out, we can Skype him from home. And we've Skyped him from the hospital home, allows him to get class material, and also makes him feel part of the class. So this is kind of an example of what I've done. This is a snapshot of a month that we have for the Google Calendar. Everything in green was his medications. Everything in red were doctor's appointments. So it's color-coded for me. I track everything. When he has blood work done, what was an issue that he went to a doctor's appointment for. So I can go back and say, oh, well, this is what happened on this day. So because I keep all this information, it enables me to put it all together now. Nobody else can put it together. They know, doctors can tell you what medications he's been on. A group of them cannot tell you, I don't believe at this point, what they were on for. So I was able to compile an information. This particular instance, one of his specialists, I had said, I think he's been on a lot of medications, a lot of antibiotics. And I had nothing to back it up. So I went home and I put together this spreadsheet with all the information that I had saved. Sent it off to her and she was like, yeah. So we were able to make an executive, she was able to make an informed decision on whether or not to put him on a prophylactic antibiotic. So it was a great help to her. So with that, don't forget I had all these photos. So I put it into an even more detailed sheet. So it had the date, the medication, the reason that something happened, along with some photos to document different things that were happening. What have I learned from my experiences, and what would I like you guys to take away for this weekend. Make it, break it, and take it. Make it I'm possible. Don't make it impossible, make it I'm possible. Because there's nothing out there that's impossible as long as you believe that you're possible. Break the rules. This is my favorite one. If it wasn't that I did something differently, then I would have gotten the same result. If it wasn't that I decided to go online instead of sitting there doing what everyone else was doing to use a brain, I used a different part of my brain, and I found a whole new source of information that I can readily have at my fingertips. So break the rules, try to do something a little bit different. Take time to see the whole picture. He's a cute kid, right? But if you take time to really look at the picture, does anybody know where he is?
Yeah, he's probably on the 7th grade floor of Boston Children's Hospital. Because I have that view in my brain for the rest of my life.
See, so if you look at the picture quick, you see a kid, city of Boston, you look at it, you see the whole picture, and you know exactly that he's sitting inside the hospital looking out. So take time to kind of just look at the whole picture. Take time to make connections. You'll never know who the person next to you, what you have in common with them, what you share with them, how they can help you. Take time to make those connections. Just an example, my son Carson this year decided to create his own team, Carson's Crew, for the NSTAR Walk for Children's Hospital. He gathered over 36 people to walk, and together they raised over $14,000 for research for Children's Hospital. So take time to make those connections. And whatever you do, take this weekend past Monday. You'll be working on a lot of things. Don't let it stop today, this weekend, on Sunday. Take whatever you work on and make sure that it goes past this. So take 2.0 and make it 2.0 and beyond. Thank you.
Awesome.